Okay, holy shit. So I just saw this. Like, I just woke up and I saw this, and I felt like I needed to make a video on this because holy shit. Okay. So, I thought the Curse Manifesto was coming out today, but I guess they decided to skip ahead to Archnemesis, which, thank you God. So, in our upcoming 3.20 expansion, Archnemesis will be replaced with a system that is more similar to the way Monster Mods worked in the past. They did it. They did the thing. Issues that players often had with Archnemesis were the keyworded mod names were not fully descriptive of what they did. True. The mods often had multiple effects bundled, which made them harder to understand. True. Due to how many effects were included in a single mod, it made too many encounters too complex. True. And the way Archnemesis rewards were set up meant that many players felt like they couldn't just kill a monster. They had to consider if they wanted to bring a Magic Find character in to maximize rewards. True. I literally did that. I had a Magic Find Tornado Shot character that was completely useless, but anytime I found a God-touched mob and managed to get it low enough without killing it, I would literally character swap over to it, kill them, and then swap back. Usually it didn't really give me much anyways, but hey, that was what it was. That's what I was tempted to do, because that was what was efficient. And goals of the new system are, mods do one specific thing. Good. Mods say what they do rather than have a thematic name you must learn and remember. Good. Encounters are simplified on average while retaining interesting fights. This part concerns me. This part concerns me. This is good, but this concerns me. Because that could mean, oh yeah, we decided to keep the fucking totem one that obliterates you from off screen, but that's all it does, and it says, like, heralding totems or whatever, so we'll see. You've gained a little bit of goodwill back with this, but I still don't trust this. Players are no longer required to do annoying actions to maximize rewards. Okay, that could be a good change or a bad change. Because they could either go, oh yeah, you know, you just get a bunch of loot regardless when you kill mobs. Yay. Or they could just go ahead and say, oh yeah, we removed the rarity and quantity scaling from them, so yeah, you're just going to get 5 Chaos and 8 Alchemy Orbs every time you kill a Solaris Touch this time, if you're lucky. Even if you're running a Magic Find build. Let's examine these goals individually. Mods do one specific thing. Here's an example. The Magma Barrier Archnemesis mod did a whole lot of stuff. It started by putting a magma barrier around the monster, but it didn't stop there. It converted some of the monster's physical damage to fire damage. It added some extra fire damage on top. It granted fire resistance to the monster, and it gave some physical damage reduction for good measure. It also spawned volatile flame bloods to follow you. The new equivalent modifier just puts a magma barrier around the monster and does nothing else. Wait a minute. Wait, this is just a nerf to Headhunter and Inspired Learning. Wait a minute. Hold up. Unless they add like a bunch new mods, this is just a Headhunter nerf. I mean, obviously it's a buff to everyone who isn't using a Headhunter because the monsters are all probably a little easier now, but mods say what they do rather than having a thematic name you must learn to remember. For example, rather than Incendiary, which broke down into 6 properties, you now see monsters with either Ignites or Fire and Ignite Resistant instead of Deadeye, which did 5 separate things. You'd now see Applies Random Mark, Extra Crits, or Accurate as separate unrelated mods. Okay, so it's basically just going back to the old rare system, but keeping some of the really annoying stuff that Archnemesis does already. The pool of mods that involve complex interactions, like spawning volatiles or ground S on effects, have been heavily diluted by the presence of simpler mods, but not removed. Diluted. This is gonna be a hell of a fucking ride at League Start, isn't it? This means that you encounter more complex fights less frequently, but interesting and challenging emergent behavior from overlapping mods can still happen, just less often. Cool. And I'm assuming this means the number of rare mods on a monster is going up. because you're basically splitting up what was one rare mod into like 3 to 4 different rare mods. So it's probably going to go from 3 to 4 Archnemesis modifiers at highest level now to like 8 to 10. Meaning you could potentially roll all the heavily diluted, really annoying ones all on the same monster. I'm sorry, GGG, but you've lost too much goodwill for me to give you the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to have to see how it works first before I give any final judgments on that. Oh boy, here we go. In Archnemesis, rewards were associated with individual mods. This meant that you could tell what kind of rewards you would get in advance, you know, with like third-party software that would read your map for you. In some cases, you were then effectively required to fetch a magic find calling character to make sure that you maximize the value of the monster mod that you had found. You know, like you had tried to use to justify the original Archnemesis change in 3.19, where you invented loot goblins and said, oh, you know, we feel that loot at the highest level is in an okay place because we've seen some groups of players get 80 plus divines, wow, from a single monster. Is that supposed to be okay? No. No, it's not. In other cases, you would ignore a monster completely if you knew that it would drop, or if it would only drop rewards that were of no value to you. True. In the new system, we have added a significant pool of new rewards to rares, but the reward that is on the monster is hidden and not associated with a specific mod. Okay, so just like all rares have a reward inherent to them? That's a good change, actually. If every rare has an inherent reward to it, that's a good change. If it's as rare as the old God Touched were, I'm not a fan of that, but at least it's better. So you don't know what kind of rewards you will get until you kill the monster. Rare monsters with more mods are more likely to have those. Oh, okay. So it's kind of like the old God Touched, but I'm assuming it's going to be more likely. Okay. This new reward system smooths out the spikiness that the Archnemesis reward system had. It fucking better, because that was my biggest issue with it, other than getting one shot and some monsters being unkillable. If this actually does what it says it does, I'm happy with this change. Conclusion. The original motivation for developing Archnemesis was that the previous monster mod system was very out of date. No, you said it was that it was out of date and it made things hard to read at a glance, which you absolutely did not solve. Many of the mods didn't have any appreciable effect under modern balance, and there wasn't a lot of interesting gameplay possible. In our opinion, Archnemesis did succeed at adding a lot of interesting new mechanics to rares. Interesting, I guess you could call it that. Frustrating, yes. Overpowered and unfun, absolutely. But introduced the problems described above. You damn right it did. While creating the new monster mods described in this article, we were careful to retain most of the interesting mechanics. Yep, that Archnemesis introduced, but in a way that doesn't include a grab bag of other effects and is diluted by many other simpler mods. The result is a system that is very similar to what monster mods used to be like, but with much more up-to-date content and balance. Mods are simpler and say exactly what they do, while you can certainly still rarely encounter scary combinations of mods that really wake you up. Great. It's a lot rarer than it was under the Archnemesis system. We feel that the new system is more modern and interesting than the old monster mod Nemesis system, and is clearer and easier to understand in the heat of combat than Archnemesis was. That remains to be seen. But overall, so far, I think this is actually a positive change. The implementation remains to be seen, but this is actually promising. For the first time, probably ever, in recent memory with Path of Exile, this change looks promising. So now I actually have something to look forward to in 3.20. As opposed to, you know, everything being nerfed, which it probably still will be, let's be honest here. But yeah, that's all I really have to say on that matter for right now. Thank you guys for watching, and I will be live tonight at 8 p.m. Central Time. We will probably be doing Overwatch 2. So, if any of you want to join me for that, I'd appreciate it. I will see you when I see you. Bye-bye.